AM120. I am Oluwafumbi Bello. And of course, you know, we take you through the dailies, weather report. And the next story is on page 5. It says, Tinubu Southwest lawmakers celebrate Fashoranti at 100. POS transactions set to hit 8.96 trillion naira in May as CBN intensifies cashless drive. And that story is on page 13. Jet AI crises. Pilots, engineers raise alarm over aviation safety in Nigeria. And that story is on page 28. And on page 13, NNPCL should stop committing state resources to refineries rehabilitation. And that's coming from an expert. It says NECA expresses concern over new refinery deal. And that story is on page 13. And that's on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. We have a health story, a health report. And that story is on page 4. It says, pathologist warns of rising global legal risks in mishandling surgical tissues. And that's all we have on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. And moving on to some inside stories, starting with page 3. Over 17 members throw weight behind ACF BOT chairman. Edo Deputy Governor's mom buried amid tributes. Nigeria's first cohort-based climate fellowship for women in STEM holds May 16. NASU, SANU suspend strike, orders members to resume work today. Well, they said they were going to call off the strike yesterday, and here we are. It's been called off. On page 4 and 5, 1 million more midwives needed to save 4 million lives. And that's coming from the United Nations Population Fund. Apostolic Church Nigeria inducts pastor as 7th Lorna chairman. Lagos State government closes Eko Bridge for repairs May 12. Tinubu Southwest lawmakers celebrate Fashoranti at 100. Life, metaphor for integrity, honesty. And that's coming from the president. APC screens 98 Rivers Assembly aspirants ahead of primaries. All stories on pages 4 and 5. JAMB stakeholders, I beg your pardon? JAMB stakeholders decide 2026 admission cutoff mark today. NIB urges federal government to transform Nigeria into Africa's farmer hub. We have the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum kicks against 60-month gestation period for state police. IPOB declares seat at home May 30 to honor fallen heroes. We have all stories on page 6. Moving on to page 12, NPA records 46.75 million GLT in 2026 quarter 1 as throughput hits 32.38 million tons. Manufacturing's contribution to VAT crosses the 1 trillion naira threshold in 2025. NNPCL told to stop committing state resources to refineries rehabilitation. NECA expresses concern over new refinery deal. We have CBN engages subnational government over inflation targeting monetary policy framework. And that story is on page 13, talking of business and economy. How AI declined Nigeria's digital media traffic by 26% in 2025. And that's according to a report. PR expert calls for insight-driven storytelling. We are in Nigeria for long haul, and that's coming from the AGIO, flags of World Class 2026. Talking of tax and taxation, Zak Adedeji sets clear vision for smarter revenue, stronger institutions in Nigeria. And that's on page 19. Tax Ombudsman seeks IMF support to strengthen institutional capacity. Financial insurance activities lead CIT contributions with 103.7 billion naira in quarter 1. And here we have SEC draft rule, the strip free trade zone firms of tax holidays, and that's according to analysts raising concerns about that. Moving on to more political stories on page 26 and on page 27. NDLEA arrest 3 physically challenged persons for drug trafficking, and that's on crime. Uncovers 5.8 billion naira loud in Lekki stash house. Bust Squishy's factory. Police sees 342 wraps of suspected Indian hemp in Kogi. Turned down 5 million naira bribe. NADDC, RMRDC collaborate to strengthen local content drive. Police rescue 4 abducted children in Lagos. Troops crack down on criminals in northwest, southeast. Gunmen lay siege on plateau communities. Over 60 killed in 1 month. 14 over the weekend. Many injured. Farms destroyed. Indigenous group Magban trade word. 2 died, 2 injured in Lagos accident. FUTA student dies after allegedly drinking insecticide. That's an unfortunate situation right there. School confirms death as police commence investigation. Airstrike hits bandits in Niger community. Civilians feared dead. And that story is on page 27. Extreme heat raises health concern in Maiduguri, and that story is on page 28. And on page 29, we have 2 suspected kidnappers arrested with ammunition in Kwara. Troops foil security breach, nab spy, imposters in Abuja. And moving on to sports stories on page 30, we have I prefer Fulham stay, and that's coming from Chukwueze. Nandozie aids Brighton to first ever FA Cup final. Emmanuel strike ends 3SC victory. I really celebrated Adams' winner, and that's coming from Sevilla boss. And lastly, on the back page, we have EPL title. Arsenal extend lead with Trossard's goal. And that's all we have on the Nigerian Tribune. Before we head on with Jadisola, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
It's up to architect Bisola and builder Brian to rebuild the city.
We'll need some help. Let's get up and go!
You'll need more Cowbell Choco to complete your mission.
To get up and go, give them Cowbell Choco.
Supra Malt Multivitamin Junior. Supra Malt Multivitamin Junior. Being mommy simplified.
Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate, the treat you deserve.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Over to you, Jadisola.
Thank you very much, Fumbi. All right, welcome back from that commercial break. We'll take some stories from the Vanguard newspaper of this morning. And the major story on the front page says, 2027 presidency. Jonathan's declaration sparks there. The story is on page 5 with some riders there. Northern Group Jotul to buy nomination form for ex-president. He must have weight. He must have weighed his chances, I beg your pardon. That's coming from Afeni Ferry. Stay away from today's dirty politics. MBF advises Jonathan. Jonathan's return may overheat polity. That's coming from the Christian Association of Nigeria. It will be catastrophic misadventure if Jonathan runs. That's coming from Okorie. All right, let's look at some other stories there this morning. Petroland Energy ramps up Dawei's island production by 2,800 barrels per day. The story is on page 37. A high Jet A1 price, aircraft plot Pilot engineers worry over flight safety jobs. The story is on page 9. All right, we'll go to some inside stories that made the headline this morning. Of course, on page 5, you have some political stories there. Let's come to page 6. NDLEA uncovers 5.8 billion naira loud in Lekki mansion. Dismantles Shuker's factory. You have tragedy in Niger. Air Force strikes on terrorists. Allegedly kills civilians in Shiroro. That story is on page 6. Teen trafficked to Ivory Coast for prostitution loses womb. Alleged minor detention. Lagos insists suspect is adult facing robbery trial. Still on that page, troops for the security breach. NAB spy impostors in Abuja. Missing NYSC member found in Abuja after 4 days. On page 7, many traders shut down as transportation eats deep into profit. We come to page 8. Page 8, NECA queries fresh NNPC China refinery pact amid $25 billion rehabilitation controversy. The story is there. Jam to set 2026 UTME cut-off mark today. Customs, auto dealer, bicker over alleged corruption in vehicle clearance. All right, let's go to other stories there. On page 9, civil servants reject hidden 40% pay formula. NPA pensioners still receive 30,000 monthly. Ex-workers lament. Benga Ashim to INEC 2027 timetable could trigger crisis. All right, let's come to page 10. State of the Nation media's watchdog role must be sustained. That's coming from Okpa Dokun. All right, now DECO tasks government on rule of law, accountability, others to honor supporters of democratic struggle May 20th. On the financial page, you have a very funny story there. I'll take it when I come back from this commercial break. Stay with us, don't go away.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys.
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
Back. Thank you for staying tuned. On the financial Vanguard page, breweries defy economic hardship, record sharp rise in revenue as profits rises by 117% to 317.2 billion naira. Our performance was led by trust me, I don't want to go there. People take beer to ease frustration. That's what you have on that story. All right, we'll come to page 12. Nigeria oil firm exports 80% of crude output despite local refining demand. All right, let's go to page 13. Student venture capital grant. Mentorship is vital. Custom modernization project to upscale ease of doing business. All right, on page 14, top manufacturing companies incur 1.96 trillion naira debt in 2025. Nigeria-Indian deepen partnership to revive textile industry. Man urges Lagos to simplify tax system to boost manufacturing. Nasima seek direct Nigeria-China flight to boost trade. FG move to clear Apapa Tinkan port corridor. All right, we come to other stories of this morning. NMA NEC reaffirms Said as Lagos chairman, elect Omotsi as president. All right, only 6% of Lagosians incurred as state unveils health reform roadmap. On page 18, you have ending South Africa's xenophobic attack. Tegbe Adelabu Adebayo promised more than that. That's on the commentary page. You still have Minister Alausa. Little learning is dangerous. Let's check up other pages this morning. Page 20, an important and frank message to my fellow Yorubas. We'll go to page 22, Biafra Day. Honor fallen Biafran IPOP tells Southeast governors. Omar pledges stronger energy security supply reform. You have Group Ills, PGF backs Tinubu Uzodinma. On page 23, Falana to FG. Security agencies prosecute high-profile murder cases. Lagos government shut Eko Bridge for 6 months. Probe alleged 26.9 billion naira USPF scandal. Serap tells Tinubu. All right, your 2027 Owosheni picks accord form. World Malaria Day. Some groups rally against malaria. Dedication, loyalty will help APC win 2027 polls. That's coming from Amzat. Fasharoti at 100, your life is metaphor for integrity, honesty. That's coming from President Bola Tinubu. All right, we'll go to page 36. On that page, you have FEC approve a Papa on power plant. 2027 Southern Middle Belt leaders insist on power rotation to South. Right, Edo killings, Obimbiri community condemn attack. 2027 drama as Subara appear before APC screening committee. On page 37, court freezes 1.4 billion naira over Zamfara Road contract dispute. ACF BOT rejects chairman Dahatu suspension. Then we'll go to some other stories there. On page 40, you have there 2027 presidency, Jonathan's declaration sparks stir, and we'll come towards the end of the stories for this morning. Aka Monarch tussle, my intervention to avoid chaos. And then we take some sports stories there this morning. You can't stop me. Oseme Ruas, after winning second league title with Gala. All right, League One, salute to Oseme on winning Turkish League title with Galatasaray. Ian Archer plays for 81 minutes in Celtic 3-1 win over Rangers. Super Eagle ace Yusuf shines in England rare victory. All right, Falconet await opponent in Friday's FIFA Under-20 World Cup Women's World Cup draw, and then platform schools Ikpaja win national schools team chess tournament. All right, Poland 2026. Duku praises Falconet's resilience. And of course, on the back page, you have their Gunners on brink of Premier League tie 2. Barcelona rules Spain again. And those are some of the stories that made the headline. All right, we'll go on a break, and when we come back, of course, we'll be serving you with the weather reports, quotes for the day, and then we'll take you through our interview segment. Thank you for staying tuned.
Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids. Milo!
All right, welcome back. It's still AM120 on the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State. This morning on the program, it's our interview segment session, and we're going to be taking the topic, or your 2027, or your pace setter for non-violent politics. That's what we're looking at this morning. And we have a guest with us already in the studio. He is Engineer Ayodele Omogbemini. He's a public relations person, officer for IPAC, Inter-Party Advisory Committee, or your state. You're welcome to the program this morning.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Gansela.
All right. Just a couple of days ago, I want to begin from there. your group, IPAC, issued a press statement that, that as the political atmosphere begins to gather momentum ahead of the 2027 general election, IPAC issued a timely advisory to all political party stakeholders, party leaders, aspirants, and the gallant electorate of our dear state. You said your state has historically stood as the pacesetter, a beacon of intellectual politics and administrative excellence. However, history also reminds everyone of a darker chapter of the political evolution. You said that we must collectively resolve the ghost of the 1962 Operation Wete, which ravaged southwestern Nigeria, will never be invited back into our street. The chaos, arson, and loss of life from the era serve as a grim reminder of what happened when ambition overrides collective good. And that takes me to Operation Wete. We all need to remember that it was a violent political uprising of Nigeria's western region between 1962 and 1965, characterized by the burning of political opponents' houses and property, largely stemming from a power struggle between Chief Obafemi Awolowo and Chief Ladoke Akintola. The term derived from Yoruba for drench it, referring to petrol, became a nickname for the region as a wild, wild west, and directly preceded the 1966 military coup. I actually took us through that Operation Wete because it actually emanated from your conversation. Yeah. And it also focuses on the southwestern Nigeria. Ahead of 2027, let's look at Nigeria as a whole. Let's look at the polity. How would you describe the polity in the country as a whole before we come to your state? Because whether you like it or not, if you think Operation Wete is about southwest alone, the whole country can actually go on Operation Wete with the way we're going.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's so disheartening that the state of our politics in Nigeria has degenerated to an extent where value for humanity is not upheld. You know, the purpose of politics and governance is to serve the people. It is to give sacrifice. It's to lead and not to fight. But if you look at the political temperature, let me use that language, at the moment in the nation, you see that there's a high tension, especially from the opposition side. And politics, the democracy, the beauty of democracy is the beauty of democracy is actually, the beauty of democracy actually emanated from good, how do I put it, good opposition, upright opposition who is ready to challenge those in authority. But if you look at the temperature currently now, you see that it's obvious that the party at the Federal Council, the party at the nation's hemisphere is not giving enough, how do I put it? It's not giving a level playground for everybody. Perhaps there are some things they are not doing directly. There are things they are doing indirectly. You understand? That is eating up the polity. And we as a body, having been a body who is to advise all political parties, we don't belong to any political party. Every political party has a threshold with us.
Okay, so tell us, what are those things that the party ruling at the national, what are they doing that you're saying indirectly affecting all the political parties?
Okay, let me cite an example precisely. Let's look at the party PDP today. The Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, is a member of PDP. In fact, a chieftain of PDP, but currently serving on an appointment with the All Progressive Congress.
That matter?
Sincerely, it should matter.
How?
And it should not be a problem because he actually informed the party before going. But you notice that because of the role he's playing, allegedly, he's grounding the party not to be able to function as it ought to be.
That's an allegation. And you know why I said it's an allegation? You recall that not just him, many of his party members also supported this particular federal government in power to get there. I mean, they supported, they had their team, they worked together, and they supported this government. So if one of the ways, and they found out that he's competent, he has what it takes to actually be the minister of FCT, then what's the big deal?
I'm not talking about competence. I'm talking about roles he's playing to heat up the politics.
What are those roles?
Thank you. If you notice that in Nigeria at the moment, we have destabilization of so many political parties, not only peculiar to PDP.
Really?
We have ADC.
Okay.
There was a particular guy within the ADC, the vice chairman of the party, took the party to court just because he wants to disturb the peace and the growth of the party.
And how does that have to do with the ruling party?
Sincerely, directly or indirectly, I'm not here to allege the ruling party. We have been able to identify the tensions that are rising. I'm not here to come and do a postmortem or analysis of the causes.
It doesn't matter.
But it is obvious that we have political tension across all political parties.
Talking about the tension, I mean, you just talked about using Nyesom Wike as an example, but I think I want you to talk about, be specific now. You know, when we talk about tension, and of course, IPAC bringing out that statement, a call to order to political parties, and of course, specifically to your state. I want you to be specific now. What are those signs you're seeing? What are those signs IPAC is seeing? For you to call, you know, political parties to order, and of course, referencing Operation Wet here, that we do not want to see a repeat of such act in 2027.
All right, thank you. I'm going to cite two examples that are peculiar to us in Oyo State. Because, you know, we are the pace setter state, and we set the pace, others follow. Whatever we do in Oyo State, definitely other people will copy it. Now, the challenge is that if you study the temperature currently, you will see that there are diverse challenges in the choice of candidates.
Okay.
Up to an extent that some of the aspirants are even inciting the public against traditional rulers, inciting the public against the government. And that is what we don't want. We want everybody, because we have over 20 political parties in Nigeria. You can pitch your tent at anywhere. The last election, 2023 election, there are some aspirants who could not secure ticket from one party. They moved to another party. So instead of causing chaos in one party, instead of disrupting the peace of the state, we are advising that it is better you look at other political parties where you can pitch your tent and you make your wish known, instead of causing chaos within a political party, because it's obvious that there are some political party who wants to impose candidates. Don't forget that candidates are to emerge from the will of the party members, not basically because this person is preferred or this party is choice. And don't forget, the current electoral law that we have, that has been passed by our National Assembly and assented to by our president, actually stipulate that it's either you are going for consensus or direct primaries, which is against the will of so many of the political parties. There are some of the political parties who have their constitution that stipulates that they should go for direct or indirect. In fact, from my own political party, we don't have consensus as an option. So now, the electoral law has actually narrowed it, and that is where these things are coming from. You understand? Currently now, INEC publish, and people begin to feel that, oh, this is actually coming from the ruling party, because they nominated the INEC chairman. You understand? The president assented to it. They have the majority in the House. So there might be unfounded stories, but there are evidences that it is pointing to a particular direction. And the way it's going, if we don't step in to speak peace, to call for order, the tension may grow into an extent where we will have bad scenarios, which I don't pray for. As a body, we don't pray for it. We don't believe in it. We don't want to propagate it. We are only trying to remind our people that don't forget the scenario of this. When there are clash of titans, the public, we're gonna suffer. So that is why we are appealing to all political stakeholders, all members of the public, to maintain peace. If you have any issue with any political parties, Currently in this country, we are not basically practicing politics based on ideology. You know, so many people will still tell you, oh, if you get the ticket today, you see whoever is the ticket will come 7-point agenda, 6-point agenda. That is to tell you that.
So are you saying most of our political parties do not have ideologies they are working on?
Constitutionally, framework, they have it. But implementation process, they don't follow it.
Now, perhaps if there's any political party who fails to follow this advisory that your group, IPAC, has come up with in this statement, is there any sanction that could actually, be meted upon such person, group, or political party?
Well, constitutionally, we don't have power to sanction anyone. But it will be obvious to the public that we made it known, and we know where this, and we are going to call a spade a spade. See, value for humanity should not be eroded with anything. We should not compare or contrast it. Peace is innegotiable. We must maintain peace. The democracy we have today was fought by some of our fathers. The words here we are talking about, I was not there, but I heard the stories. I had people who lost their life because of that. So because of political tension, I want to regain power, I want to sustain power, is not enough. In fact, should not be a basis to cause violence within the city, within the community, and the nation at large. So that is why we are appealing to political stakeholders. Not only to political stakeholders, to everyone that has roles to play concerning as we are going into the 2027 election.
Having identified the tensions we are currently facing in terms of the political space now, have you identified political parties, your state currently, who are having, issues amongst themselves, or one party pitching against another party? And how has IPAC been able to step in?
Now, thank you. So that I will not incite any of the political parties.
You don't have to name
So
names.
I will not name any of the political parties. But it is obvious, even to the deaf, it is visible to the blind, that the challenges that is looming at our faces is actually from 1 or 2, 3 political parties currently. And we are saying as a body that don't limit your tent to just 3 political parties. We have 21 political parties today. So if you pitch your tent with a particular political party and it is becoming obvious that you will not get the ticket, and that was why you see the call came earlier, because as of now, according to the INEC guidelines, you might not be able to move to any other political party again now, because each party has submitted their list 21 days to the end of primaries. Primary is going to end by 31st of May, and today is 11th. So perhaps today is the last day for any political party to submit the list. So if you want to do migration today, you can still move. So far, before the party will submit their list to INEC, so that you can be a part of the new political party you are going.
You seem like you're supporting migration, politicians jumping from one political party to the other. It seems like you're an advocate.
I'm not an advocate of it. Neither is my council an advocate. But what we are saying is that for peace to reign, we know that to come into politics, the essence is to serve. And political parties are platforms to help people attain their intentions. So why won't you move from a political party to another?
One would have thought that your group, IPAC, would be advocating for the amendment of the Electoral Act that allows for individual candidacy. Because the truth is that no matter the number of political parties that we have, everybody cannot become a candidate.
Absolutely.
So the fact that you're in a party and you're not given the opportunity to be the candidate of the party does not mean you should leave. If you're a loyal party member and you believe in that party, there are people who have stayed in political parties for years and they have not left.
Yeah.
And they are not planning to leave. That's the fact that they have pursued their ambition and they have not gotten the opportunity. So, I mean, can't we begin to look at that instead of talking about people migrating?
Thank you. If you look at our press statements, the option we gave is in case where you are unable to resolve the challenges. The best thing is for you to remain in your political party. Work together. If the party emerges, there are different portfolios you can get because your party is in power. In fact, that is the best option. But the reason why we have to channel it is because the tension is eating to our faces. And you know, when we have conflict of interest, politics is basically on interest. You understand? So when you have conflict of interest and your interest is being jeopardized because you are in a political party, why can't you move?
Some aspirants usually contest elections. They know they can never win election. But every political year, they will come out and express their interest. And some of them have never gotten party tickets. Some have gotten party tickets and failed.
You know,
because they're not marketable. They are not even sellable.
You see,
yet
there
they contest.
Indications that determine winning an election is not limited to the choice of candidate alone. It's not limited to the name of the political party. It's not limited to the resources available. It's not limited to the will of the people. You see, our politics have been bastardized. Let me use that word. And how do I mean? We have been able to polarize our politics in such a way that it is not the merits that gets the ticket. It is not the good or the best. We have so many people, when you interview them, when you ask them, I told you here now that most of what is happening in our politics today are the intentions or the views of those candidates of the political party. Many are not from the ideology of the party. Some party will tell you they are socialists. Some will tell you they are progressive. Some will tell you we are different. Some will tell you we are inclusive, social inclusion. But when their candidate gets to the hems of affair, they do something different.
You have talked about disrespect for traditional rulers. Tell us, have you written any party officially to say, look, your actions are disrespecting particular traditional ruler or traditional rulers? Have you done that?
We don't necessarily have to write to the public. But if you have followed the trend, you will notice that the particular person has actually tried his best to withdraw the statement he made. Because that alone, putting politics aside, that we are not going to allow. You understand? Our traditional community is our heritage. Politics will go and come. You understand? After the next 4 years now, we'll have to vote another person. But this is an institution that has been established by law, by tradition. So we are not ready to take it for granted with anyone. And that is why we are saying it publicly that it is out of place for anyone to speak ill of the traditional institution just because a political party is not favorable to you.
But apart from speaking ill of a traditional institution, I also saw in the press release, that you mentioned Omoluabi values.
Yes.
And I know, for Yoruba, in Yoruba land as a whole, it doesn't even have to do with traditional institutions alone. For everyone, as citizens, as Yoruba indigents. But when we have traditional figures also, leaning towards political parties, holding politicians closer to them, how do you deal with, such scenario also?
And you see, relationship comes before the choice of what you want to do. Like the way we are in the studio now. I'm a guest, you are the one presenting, and you are the one hosting. You are my host. But as at the time I was coming in, because I had known you at a particular place or the other, the way I'm going to relate with you will differ from another person. So you cannot take that aside. You understand? If a traditional leader has a relationship with somebody, Don't forget, before he gets to that office, now he's in an office where he becomes the father of all. So, and you must accrue that respect to him. You must not judge him based on his past or the office which he has held because of the alignment or the alliance. You understand what I'm saying? That should not now be the formation for what you are now going to use to judge or incite the public against the community. Because if you clearly in that statement, it was obvious that the statement was targeted on a particular traditional leader, which we will not allow such to fly. And that is why we come vehemently against that word, that we will not allow that. It is better for you to pitch your tent. If you are not comfortable, go to another party. We have more than 2 million voters in Nigeria. The current governor in Oyo State had just 500,000. So that means you still have about 1,500 voters to solicit for.
All right, a little away from, traditional institutions now. We cannot talk about tensions in political parties without talking about thuggery. And we've seen that play out over time. I think just 3 weeks ago or thereabout, we saw a particular politician, driving through a particular route in Ibadan here, through Bere or J-Axis, and we saw these thugs in their numbers blocked the road, whipping people. It was a very terrible scenario. Now, when we talk about, 2027 election period coming, we will talk about thuggery and the likes. What plans are you making with security personnel?
Thank you.
To make sure we sustain the peace we currently are seeing in Oyo State.
I'm quite grateful for your brilliancy to ask that question. You see, if you look at our approach, we caution everybody. We didn't limit our caution or advice to only the political class. We intentionally address everyone who are stakeholders. Don't forget, the citizens are always stakeholders. In fact, they are the greatest stakeholders in politics because they are the one who brings their will to make you become whatever you intend to become. So now, coming from that, we cannot, that is why I'm telling you that our democracy is evolving. We are praying that and optimistic that very soon we'll have a democracy that will be based on intellectual engagement and not conflict on the street. It's part of our politics for people to show thuggery strength when elections are coming. But we as a body, we frown against it. We are appealing to all political stakeholders and those that are being used, that they will only use you before the election. After the election, they'll forget about you. Why not be productive and make a meaningful living out of your life? So we are appealing to all politicians, and every state chairman in Oyo State is aware of this, that coming 2027 election, we don't want violence, any form of violence, either intra-party, inter-party, or inter-community, or interstate. In Oyo State, we don't want it. And we're appealing to everyone, both the public, both the political stewards, that they should please maintain peace. And I'm very sure, if you notice from the president, we call on the security agency to be up and doing. You understand? That particular example you gave, we are aware of it. And I'm sure the Commissioner of Police as well is also listening to us. In Oyo State, God has helped us. From 2019, we have been having a peaceful election. And we don't want anything to come against it. We don't want any challenges. We want an election where we'll be proud of whoever emerges. And that is our stand.
Okay, let's quickly look at the youth and social media. Sometimes the polity may not be physically heated up. But on social media, you see some headlines flying around, some quotes, some pictures, some videos. It could even be videos of 1962 during the wait and somebody will just put it on social media and say, look, it's happening somewhere. It's possible at this point, we know, in this digital age. So how are you going to engage young people with the use of social media?
You see, the platform of social media is basically for information and not to incite the public. So one of the advice we will give to the general public is, number one, verify before you digest. Verify before you digest. When you see any information that is flying around to incite you or to send you some stories that are not palatable, kindly verify before you take action. And the best action you can take is to report to the security agencies, who I am very sure and confident in are going to do the needful to ensure that peace and order is maintained. We cannot be everywhere. We cannot be on every platform at a time. But everyone who is an ambassador of peace, we expect everyone to be an ambassador of peace. So as an ambassador of peace, when you see anything that could cause chaos, that could cause destabilization of order within the community or your environment, the first thing is for you to verify that news. And if you get to know that there are evidences in what you have verified, then you walk up to the security agencies to maintain peace and order, so that at the long run you will not be a victim, because you cannot confront conflict yourself.
Okay, let's look at earlier when you were talking about traditional leaders. I recall you said, oh yes, you could have relationship, but you must respect that. Now, so what advice would you even advise, or would you give to traditional leaders on the kind of role they should even play themselves, so that they're not the ones throwing themselves around to say, look, I'm available, and the next minute you find out that we'll go back to the issue of disrespect.
Thank you very kindly. Our traditional rulers are the custodian of our tradition. And at any time, their doors should be open for whoever wants to be in the position of power. Don't forget, they are also a leader that we sought to, that we seek their advice, because they are closest, they are the closest to the people, rather. Be that as it may, our appeal to our fathers, who are traditional leaders, is that they should not be biased. Because, for anyone to incite the public, there must be an element of lie or truth. But if they stay neutral in the approach, in what they do, it will be difficult for anybody to incite them or to make a statement that this is where they belong.
Sorry, Engineer Gbemini, I disagree to an extent. When you're saying that they should stay neutral, how? They want the state to develop. The same way you're lending your voice, you want things to work. I mean, they have eyes. They can also see that some candidates are stronger and better than the other. They have chances. So they also have a right as citizens to also say, look, my people in your state or in so place, let's come together and support this candidate. He's going to make changes.
No.
They will look at people's antecedent. They also have a right to do this. The same way in communities, you see that before they could pick certain people, to do certain things, you look at competence. You can't sit on the fence. And when things goes wrong, what are we going to be talking about?
Now, you are talking based on personal right and personal opinion. As an individual, whoever is a traditional leader will definitely vote, and will vote for somebody. That's a personal opinion.
Interest.
But because they are sitting on a seat that cut across both the brilliant, both the white and the black, they should not have a view.
Their interest should not be made known to the public.
No, not at all. They must not promote it.
So they should keep
because
their views.
They will keep their views to themselves.
But they can strategically work with the person at the background.
No, it must. That is what I'm telling you.
You talked about having a personal relationship with some of these politicians.
And that is personal opinion. That is, you can do a phone call. As a political leader, let's imagine now. I laugh for you. Maybe, perhaps, I have known him based on what I'm doing, and now he's the king. If I'm contesting and I take my car from Ibadan and I drive down to Oyo and I leave his office, the press will begin to pick and say, hope it's not that. They will begin to incite things. But if I pick my phone call and I call him, he can advise me.
if it's somebody I regularly see every month or every 2 months, so I would say because I'm contesting election, I would lose the relationship I have with the person.
Let me
Are we
say
putting
this.
restrictions on candidates or the traditional rulers?
I'm not putting restrictions, but we should not trend a path that can bring, because of how high our polity has been heated. We must be very careful of what we do.
Okay, so after the elections, they can now go back to start visiting.
They are fathers of all. They are fathers of all. You can walk up to, even when you are not a candidate, you can go there to go and meet them. But our politicians, they know what to do now. They know what to do. But
So
I'm saying that they should not just come
now
to the public and show it and set an agenda.
This morning,
don't get it.
To my greatest surprise this morning, you know, there are reports in the dailies. In the Vanguard newspaper, 2027 presidency, Jonathan's declaration sparks stir. That's on the newspaper. And one of the writers said, Jonathan's return may overheat polity.
Yes.
That's coming from CAN, Christian Association of Nigeria. And don't forget that Jonathan is a Christian. So they may begin to even think that maybe CAN is against him or something. Now, I'm bringing up this example so that we can look at it holistically. Because whether we like it or not, as we mentioned traditional rulers, we have to go back to look at the religious leaders as well. And then, of course, it will be catastrophic misadventure if Jonathan runs. That's coming from Okorie. Look at some of those statements.
And Okorie is not the spokesperson of Christian Association of Nigeria. That is what I'm saying. You see, that's what I'm telling you. That you see, when politicians want to set agenda,
is this not in favor of the ruling or any of the other candidates?
And this is where the journalists also have a role to play.
How?
I'll tell you. You see, politicians know how to set an agenda for you to heat up the polity. And when they set the agenda, journalists will help them to bring it out.
No, we are not helping them. We are bringing out facts from whatever is happening.
This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Look at the rider to that. Okorie has never even been an ESCO of Christian Association of Nigeria. This is an association I know very well. Yeah, it's one of the foremost Christian leaders in the country.
Yes.
But using that as a rider is inciting.
That's not the only rider there.
Okay.
So maybe I should give you the remaining. 9 northern groups jottle to buy nomination form for ex-president. He must have weighed his chances. That's coming from Afenifere. Then stay away from today's dirty politics. MBF advises Jonathan. And then you have Jonathan's return may overheat polity. That's coming from CAN. And then the last one said, it will be catastrophic misadventure if Jonathan runs, coming from Okorie. So
different statements.
Yeah, so I only picked
bodies.
the ones that I needed to use from traditional, religious leaders, also making such statements. So again, would you say that CAN cannot speak, whether they have interest or not?
I'm not saying CAN cannot speak. What I'm saying is that we are still saying the same thing, that we should not allow circumstances or whatever is going on to help us set an agenda that can incite the public against each other. That's our note.
But Engineer Gwemdi, when we have, I want to also talk about democracy now, and of course our traditional institutions. Now, when we have, a particular political or politician's ideology or party's ideology that might want to overrule democracy in a particular state, a region, how do you think, who are those that should step in, and how should they step in?
There is no way a political party can promote anything that will overrule a democracy, because they are even there as an option from democracy.
You know why I said this? Okay, so we've been talking about one-party states for a while now.
Okay.
We've seen a lot of gale of defections happening. And other political parties are talking about how the ruling party is inciting, or causing tension in their parties, and of course displacing people in their various political parties. And at the end of the day, most of these people are defecting to the ruling party. So now it feels like it's threatening our democracy, not giving people enough voice to make their choices. Now, who are those that should step in cases like
that,
this?
that is
and I want to
exactly,
believe, and that's why, you know, talking of traditional institutions now,
Yeah.
talking of religious bodies now, who are those that should step in? And of course, advise politicians, advise electorates, leading people in the, you know, right direction.
Thank you. And that is why you see we are coming up at this stage, because we have been able to study what is happening in the political atmosphere. It is obvious that a particular party in governance really wants to have everyone to their side and leaving us with no other options. But thank God the law has given us the option of more than one political party. So the idea of one party system cannot come to play. If sincerely our interest is to serve the people and not otherwise. So since our motivation is to make a better Nigeria, a better Oyo State, then pitch your tent with another political party. Your stalwarts will join you there, and you make your ambition known, and if God willing, you win the election. So what we are saying is in correspondence with what you actually asked. We have emphasized all of this, that if peradventure in your political party, it's obvious you are not the choice of the day, and they want to impose a particular person on you, and you feel you cannot work for the interest of the party, you believe you are a better candidate. And since we don't have independent candidate at the moment, then you can go to any of the political party and vie for the office you intend to vie.
Okay.
Take it for instance, Peter Obi. Peter Obi was at the time in PDP, left for Labour, from Labour to ADC. Now he's in NDC, and he's still promoting his interests. So I don't think that should ensure it. That's the dynamics of politics anyway. It's the dynamics of politics. So when you think you are not comfortable in a house, you can pack out of the house.
Just like that, even the house that you built yourself, you
Yes,
pack out of your house.
You can sell it out.
Okay, we'll come back there.
For peace to reign.
It's okay. IPAC said democracy belongs to the people.
Yeah.
And what can we do, you know, to ensure that the ordinary Nigerian is also carried along to ensure that this peace we're talking about is allowed to flow everywhere?
Thank you for the question, because everything we have been saying since morning boils down to the people. And if the people don't give a wish, if they don't give an interest, there's no way anyone can emerge as a governor, a president, House of Rep, or whatever you think you want to be. The balls lies on the table of the people. Their vote is their power. And that is the beauty of democracy. So we are urging them that they should ensure that they are not under duress when they are giving their votes. That's number one. Number two, give your vote to somebody who you are sure. I'm not here to promote any political party. Give your vote to the person you are sure is going to maximize it for the next 4 years for your interest, not for his own interest. If that is achieved, I'm telling you, all these political morandas will naturally fade out in our politics. So the ball lies on the table of the citizen. The electorates, they have a lot to do. They are the determinant of who gets to power, who gets to rule us, who gets to be in the office for the next 4 years. So we are appealing to them that the peace that we are intending, the peace that we have, that we want to sustain, can actually come to bear through them as well.
That's for the electorate. Now, I want you to speak to politicians now, and of course, various political parties. We've seen for the past few years, or for a long time now, peaceful election period in Oyo State, peaceful polity in Oyo State. How can we sustain, or how should that be sustained, moving away from the press statement you've made? What practical steps should be taken by politicians to sustain the peaceful polity we currently experience?
By the grace of God, let me say precisely, for over 2 decades now, I have been a stakeholder in ensuring we have a thorough engagement towards election in Nigeria and in Oyo State. And the peace we have attained today, I can tell you that it has been as a result of unhindered engagement. We'll begin to engage starting from now. Immediately we have the candidates, we'll start engaging. Through the National Orientation Agency, we have quite a lot of programs we are going to roll out to ensure both the public, both the traditional rulers, both where we create a platform for engagement where the traditional rulers will come, the societal people will come, the community development associations, different associations, we invite them through the NOA, and we ensure that we have a thorough engagement before the election. And that has been the secret of our peace in Oyo State. And we are not going to stop it. We'll continue in it. And I'm very optimistic that come 2027, election in Oyo State will be peaceful and the atmosphere will be free from any rancor.
Okay, Engineer Gbemini, we want to sincerely appreciate you. But while doing that, we also want to join IPAC to continue to advocate for no operation waiting. Maybe when we resound it, it will go a long way. All right, on this note, we want to say a big thank you on behalf of our producers and crew member to Engineer Ayodele Omogbemini for being part of our program this morning. Thank you very much for coming. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, our second guest is waiting. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Below 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Yes, we are still talking about 2027 Oyo, pace setter for non-violent politics. And of course, talking about politics, non-violence. we have to have a politician. And this morning, we have a PDP stalwart in the studio with us, Honorable Josiah Olufemi. Honorable, it's good to have you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to be here.
Thank you very much. I want us to pick it from what happened last week. We saw a gale of defection from PDP to other political parties. And talking of, the insightful, the statement, Operation Wet here, we've been talking about for the past 2-3 weeks, in your state, and of course, calling for, we heard the governor saying for us not to have, a similar issue in your state in Nigeria, we have to take a cue from Operation Wet here. Can you please, let's have your view on this particular statement and, of course, the gale of defection, how it doesn't incite or how it doesn't cause confusion in the political space?
Thank you for those questions. Let me quickly make it clear. The few people who have defected from PDP are the likely candidates of the party in the next election. And what informed the defection is this. Our party has been in crisis, and thank God for the judgment of the Supreme Court that seems to have resolved it to a large extent. But there are still some lacuna. Don't forget, on the 15th of May this month, there's still a case at the Court of Appeal. And some of us have this belief that the judiciary has allowed themselves to become complicit. Complicit in the sense that there is a Supreme Court precedent that said that courts should not interfere in the internal affairs of the party. Political parties have their own constitution, which is a subset of the Nigerian constitution. The only time a court can interfere is if the fundamental right of a member is infringed upon. That one is a separate case. But in a situation where there is a disagreement among the leadership of the party that has little or nothing to do with the fundamental right of people, the court has no business. Unfortunately, some of our courts allow themselves to become tools of oppression by politicians. And I have an apology to say that this is our country. We hold this country together. Whether you're a judge, whether you're a president, whether you're a governor, you are not better as a citizen than the ordinary beggar on the street, because your job is to serve the people, including those beggars on the street, including the people who do not even know where their next meal will come from. So when you start behaving as if the country is your complaint, even if it's your complaint, there are rules and regulations. Then one begins to ask questions. What role is the judiciary playing in all of this? Now, looking back historically, this is not the first time politicians will move from one party to the other. It is within their right. The Constitution says there is freedom of association. It's a fundamental right. And if a man chooses that, I don't want to go to Celestial Church any longer, I want to go to Asalatu, can anybody hold the person? So any law that says, like the INEC has done, and I'm surprised the political parties have not challenged them, INEC have no authority to block people from crossing to parties under the law. INEC is a creation of the Constitution. The judiciary is a creation of the Constitution. Even the presidency is a creation of the Constitution. So any law or policy that each of these institutions make that's one contrary to the fundamental right of people, it's illegal. But I'm surprised people are not challenging it. I'm surprised nobody even discussing it. Is there a limit to the right of an individual? Only a court of law can deny you that right as a result of an infringement. No individual, no institution have the right to deny you your right. Unfortunately, this is where we are. Now, this is why our members have to move. Some of us don't even trust the court. Despite that the Supreme Court have made a pronouncement. Despite that we have a certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment. We are going to wait to see what the Court of Appeal will say on Thursday. And that will inform a lot of things. We don't want to take chances. Don't forget, as it is, INEC has the timetable. And the window can close anytime. As a matter of fact, the window for crossing from one party to another is closed.
Today, it's closing today.
It's closing today. So, I mean, who will take that chance? When you don't even trust the court, when you don't even trust INEC, and when nobody has challenged that part of the electoral law.
Okay, let me quickly interject.
So what we intend to do, our candidate will contest. We are having a kind of bipartisan approach to politics. And it is not new. It is constitutional. And I'll give you an historical example. In 1999, AD and APP aligned. They formed a coalition whereby the candidate of AD, Olufalaye, became the president on the ticket of AD, and the candidate of APP, Umaru Shikafi, became his vice. And both of them challenged Olusegun Obasanjo in the election, which Obasanjo eventually won. So it is not new that our party have decided that we are aligned with APM so that our candidate can contest. And we need to do that so that all these shenanigans, all these rules that are unconstitutional, in my own view, that are being put as obstacles before people who genuinely want to serve can be overcome.
Okay, so let's quickly look at the issues. When she mentioned earlier, she talked about the governor calling the attention of Nigerians to Operation Wete. And just a few days ago, IPAC also raised the lamp on the same thing. Now, let's look at Operation Wete. It was a slogan for the Southwest, Wild Wild West. And this was as a result of alleged marginalization at that time, 1962, 1965. Now, does it look like the same scenario as we speak today? Does it look like anyone trying to uncover the political parties?
Let's get it clear. Historically, from the things we read about the event of the First Republic, what is happening now is worse than what happened then. And you see, I might have control over myself. I can't say the same of other people in political parties, even among the populace. And I'll give you an example. When the NSTART was about to start, we all remember how it started. It started as a peaceful protest by just an individual. The next thing, people occupied the Lagos Assembly. The next thing, they occupied Lekki Toll Gate. And we all saw what happened. So don't take citizens for granted. Citizens voted for politicians because they want good governance. If the citizens are not seeing it, one difficult, impossible person might just start a problem and others will join. It's just for one person to lead and start it, and others with similar frustration will join. So when politicians are in power, they need to realize that that power is to serve the people, not to serve themselves, not to perpetuate themselves in power. And like Obafemi Awolowo rightly said in one of his books, that the problem with us in Africa is that of tenacity of office. Once an African is in position of power, he either wants to die there or he wants to forcefully extend his tenure. And what happened in that situation is chaos. Because when people, okay, this is BCOS, a sack is on, the staff is on suspension or sacked, and the staff refuse to leave the premises of the BCOS, what will you people do? You invite the police to come and inject the staff or ask your security to push the person out. So that is what is likely to happen to politicians who want to force themselves on the people, particularly when the people are not happy. And between you and us, between you and I, can we say in this studio that Nigerians are happy?
Okay, you talked about the situation currently being worse than that of 1962.
Now, let me tell you what led to 1962.
Also tell us what makes it worse. We'd like to know.
I will explain. There was Action Group, there was NCNC, and there was Northern People's Congress, led by Ahmadu Bello, NCNC by Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Action Group by the late Obafemi Awolowo, all of them blessed memory. Now, there was an internal crisis in Action Group between Obafemi Awolowo and Salado Akintola. And the party splitted into two. Some backing Awolowo, some backing Akintola. And don't forget, we're in the parliamentary system then. Obafemi Awolowo was the leader of the Action Group. Somehow, the MPC-led federal government felt it has an opportunity to disorganize Action Group. They started backing Ladoke Akintola. To the extent that Ladoke Akintola now went to form his own party, NNDP. And an election was held in 1962. And from historical account, it was clear that NNDP didn't win the election. But when the electoral body started announcing results, they were announcing results against the wishes of the people. And the people reacted. So what we are saying is this: don't take the people for granted. People want to be happy. People want good governance. If they are not getting it and they want to vote you out, and you want to perpetuate yourself in power, what do you think will happen? And that was what led to Operation Wet here. We have a similar scenario to the extent that it has become so worse that the federal government, I will name names, I'm not afraid of anybody. The federal government, rather than focus, the APC-led federal government, rather than focusing on the primary duty of governance, they are more interested in politics.
How?
Good. We are all aware. In the last 3 budgets, the government is not funding it, despite borrowing a lot of money. It is not our claim. It is what we have seen.
Experts have said there's no big deal in borrowing. Depends on what you're borrowing for.
But there's a big deal in borrowing and you cannot fund budget. So Nigerians should ask questions. The money the company are generated, the money you are borrowing, trillions of naira, what has happened to the money? And I'll give you instances. Last year budget, Ministry of Health had a capital budget of 218 billion. Only 2.18 billion so was released to them. Ministry of Transportation had a capital budget of 257 billion. Only 2.57 was released. Point of correction, even Ministry of Health, it was 36 million that was released. You now begin to ask your question, how come UCA does not have lights? Do you know the number of people that have lost their life in that process? Do you know these people have families? And when a family member feels that this person should be alive, if the government have done the needful, what do you think such a person could do if such a government wants to continue to be in power? So the issue for us is that rather than facing governance, they are more interested in doing politics with government, to the extent that governors are decamping from or the opposition party, senators are decamping from opposition party to the ruling party. And there is this legend that says, I'm coming, there is this legend that says that some of them were paid. If governor once said they were collecting as much as 500 billion, some people are saying 250 billion. Have they come out to deny it? As the people, the company come out to deny it? Have the people alleged of bribing them? Have they come? Let me explain it.
As a PDP stalwart, do you think it's true?
To a large extent, yes.
So why will some opposition party members sell their conscience, sell the loyalty that people pay through to get them to office? Why will they do it?
They will do it because in Nigeria, to a lot of people, politics is business. And government in Nigeria is more like a criminal enterprise. And you cannot blame only the politician, you blame the people too. When you are collecting money to vote for people, where do you think they got the money from? To those people paying you to vote for them is an investment. And do you get what I'm saying now? And I don't see how a governor can embezzle 250 billion in 4 years. So if people say, okay, this is the way you want to run it, and there's little I can do about it, it becomes a matter of, it can't be joined, you join them. If this country is going to collapse, before it does, let me get as much as I could get. And I think that must have informed the actions and decisions of some of these politicians.
Okay, you just mentioned, the ruling party buying some of these governors.
Buying and blackmailing.
Some politicians
blackmailing
into their party.
Buying and blackmailing.
Let's look at the state of,
those that have
PDP.
Let's
look at the state of PDP currently.
Okay.
In your state and of course in Nigeria as a whole, what's the current state of PDP? And how ready is PDP for 2027 elections?
We are very ready. As I speak to you, they can claim there are factions. There's no one faction in PDP. The Supreme Court in Nigeria, the Supreme Court judgments have settled that. As of yesterday, the rogue element in our party have instructed his members who wants to contest to come to APC. So we had always known where he belonged. He was only claiming to be a member of PDP. And I'm talking of Barrister Wike, the former governor of Rivers State. It's in the news as of yesterday. He has instructed his supporters to come to APC. So if he still believes he's a member of our party, why will he ask his
But does
supporter?
your party don't have rules as to those engaging in activities that will undermine the
Party have
party?
rules,
So why is it
but
not
there
being
is a
implemented?
there is a procedure.
Why did they follow the procedure?
Only 2 organs of the party could suspend or expel a member of the party that has become recalcitrant.
Okay.
The ward, the ward,
Yes.
the political ward of the party, and
Of the individual.
of the individual,
Yes.
or the national convention of the party.
Mm.
If it cannot be expelled from home, the national convention of a political party is the biggest organ, the most powerful organ of the party, more powerful than the president. And we did that in Ibadan convention. Unfortunately,
Suspending Wike.
we expelled Wike, Fayose, and all others that have become recalcitrant.
But that has been reversed now.
It was never reversed. This is what happened. The foundation for that expulsion has been nullified by the Supreme Court.
That's the point.
Now, don't forget that in our Supreme Court matter, the people loyal to them cross-appeal their suspension cross-appeal the decision of the party as regards the convention they had in Abuja. And the Supreme Court have said that, look, they've nullified the suspension because the people that they've nullified the convention because the people that conducted the convention were suspended members of the party. So they didn't have a locus standing to even organize that convention. So if the people they were using to disorganize the party are suspended, that means the tools they want to use to continue to disorganize the party, they've lost it.
It's as good as...
And as far as the party constitution is concerned, the next organ of the party after NEC, in the absence of NEC, is the board of trustees. As of today, our party is taking the 60C judgment of the Supreme Court to INEC headquarters. On the 15th, we are presenting it as a legal document to make the judges of Court of Appeal to see that what this case is all about has become an academic exercise. So we expect it to be dismissed. That is if the judiciary remains the hope of the masses. But we don't want to take chances.
Okay, let's come back to your party's alignment with the party where your candidates have moved to. And is this not driving towards the same thing you are alleging Wike doing? Going to another political party, supporting, whether they are your candidate or not. The same thing he is doing now. So is this not at the expense of the success? Because it won't cost anybody anything.
They're not the same thing. Let's get it clear.
I'm coming. Let me land. Is this not becoming the same thing? Because at the end of the day, everybody can stay in PDP, resolve your issues, and move forward. In the interest of the party.
We are not leaving PDP. APM is not a party in government at any level. Telling your members to move to the ruling party that have been using youth to destabilize the party is a different ball game. Do you get it? APM is not a ruling party at any level, whether what local government.
It doesn't matter. It's a party.
Okay.
Yeah, but you see, you can't compare APM to APC, for God's sake. APC controls all the institutions of power in this country. The police, the DSS, the military, INEC. So are you going to compare APC to an APM party?
Okay, why have you chosen APM?
APM because we have similar ideology. It's a Allied People's Movement. We have similar ideology, and after the election, we will decide the next move. But now don't forget, we can't have an alliance with APM, take back our government in Oyo State. And members of APM will not be part of the government.
But when we have
I'm not privy to the agreement, but I can tell you that will happen. Do you understand? So it's going to be a government by, PDP members and APM members. That I can tell you.
Now, let's look at it. You said earlier that you don't have confidence in the judiciary of this country.
Yes, not me.
Why?
Even the global rating does not have confidence in the judiciary of this country.
Why is this so?
142 countries were rated in 2020. Nigeria was rated at number 120. Was I the one that did the rating? It's global rule of law index.
Well, they're not here to see the practical aspect. Because sometimes...
They are not here, but their embassies are here.
Some school of
the
thought...
citizens have investment here.
Some school of thought believe that politicians celebrate the judiciary when the court favors them, the result favors them.
When I say
But when it does not favor them, they speak ill of the judiciary.
No, let's get it clear. One bad apple can damage a whole barrel.
If you wait.
That is what is happening in Nigeria. The Supreme Court made a policy that courts should not interfere in the internal affairs of parties. And some judges, whether at the Federal High Court or State High Court, this is not about APC alone. All parties are involved in this.
So why do party members, politicians keep going to court when the Supreme Court has said this?
Why do courts, institutions created by the constitutions, why are they allowing themselves to be used as tools by politicians?
Is it used or they are following the procedure? You have brought the case before me.
They don't have to handle, they can throw the case out.
Why are you taking the case there in the first instance?
Let me explain it.
Politicians should also learn to obey the Supreme Court.
Politicians will remain who they are.
And then the judges too
the court cannot remain who they are. Because the courts are the last hope of the people. If you and I have a disagreement, I can decide to oppress you, but the court can protect you. The court that should protect institutions and citizens are the ones that some powerful people are now being used. That is the point we are making.
So
we can continue all over the world. Politicians have a lot in common. Politicians will look for the easy way out to get things done. It is for the court not to make themselves that easy way out unconstitutionally.
So how can we begin to rewrite the history or the talks, the ill talk of our judiciary?
By talking about it, by alleging them. My name is Femi Josiah. I've had cases in court, and I can tell you that not all judges are corrupt. But there are many corrupt judges in this country.
Now,
and let me tell you, the National Judicial Council that should treat this matter, but everybody is sleeping. So it begins to look that the people in those institutions are compromised. We are saying this because we believe there are still credible people among them. So those that are credible should do the needful.
Okay, as we wind down this conversation, I'd like to ask you, how can we avert Operation Wedge repeating itself in the history of Southwest or even Nigeria?
My dear sister, Nigeria is already facing security challenges, a very serious one, unprecedented. Politicians are elected to serve the people. Actions of politicians that could create chaos should be avoided. Listen to me. But in a situation where the ruling party is complicit, if you have a minister of the Federal Republic threatening banks, institutions, public institutions, not to collect funds, to sell funds to PDP members. And we have a president sitting there who could not caution the minister. How do you defend that? You can't, when you deny people their right and the court cannot protect them, my dear sister, what are you asking for? When you deny people their right and they cannot be protected by the system. So what happens? It is not within our power. It's within the government at both the state and federal level, particularly the federal government, led by APC, to obey the laws of the country. Because a situation where a minister came on here and said, if you sell forms, I will shut your banks down and all that. Although the banks ignored him, they are selling the forms. But the threat alone, the international community looking at us, the international media, so what report do you think they will be writing about us?
All right, Honorable, as we wind down this segment this morning, I just want you to speak to electorates now. 2027 election is coming. What should electorates do? How should they avoid, being used as a tool for violence in Oyo State?
Not just in Oyo State, Nigeria. Because if you say Oyo State is part of Nigeria.
Of course, Oyo State
the
is
Nigerian
part of Nigeria,
crisis of the First Republic started in Oyo State.
And of course, how to
which led to a civil war eventually. So the electorate have to be patriotic. And patriotism means that doing what is right, doing what will elevate the system. Vote for the candidate of your choice, but don't allow yourself to be induced to vote. Because when you are induced to vote, what you are doing is that you are trading away your own fortune, your own happiness. Right. A politician that pays you to vote for him will get the money back if he gets power, because it's an investment for such a politician.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jotaya Olufemi, a PDP stalwart who's been talking to us about 2027 or your pace setter for non-violence politics, and of course also riding on other situations.
And the security agencies should do their job. They should not be partisan.
Thank you very much, Honorable. And here we have to anchor. We'll be right back after the sport update. Please stay with us.